Welcome, everybody. We're so excited to have you here for the Wealthy Woman Archetype Unleash Your Millionaire Style. We're so excited because we have a very special guest today. However, before we get to that, my name is Melanie Greeno. I'm the CEO and founder of She's Creating an Empire, where we teach women how to build a business, brand, and bank account that they love. Hello, ladies. I can see everybody jumping on in the chat. I want you guys to interact because the reality is the more energy we give, the more energy we get, right? Energy is all about give and get. Also, money is energy. So free tip, the more you give, the more you get. I'm really excited to jump into tonight because I feel like learning how to step into that woman that's meant to be wealthy, right? The woman that's born for greatness is really a challenge in an environment that's trained you to sit down, be quiet, do the thing, be a nice girl, don't upset people, don't want too much, for sure don't want too much. If you want too much, you're just too much. And I love, Shanda Wright, one of our top coaches, posted in the group the other day, don't be too much, don't talk too much, don't be too loud, don't be too bold. And this is really what women are groomed to do, right? Is to shrink back and be less of ourselves. And the guest you're going to meet today has absolutely transformed herself into a beautiful goddess that is ready to conquer the world. And so what I want to go over tonight is how do you take the steps right now to unleash that wealthy woman? Because if you ask yourself, do I believe I'm meant for wealth? What would your answer be? Are you ready to become wealthy? Are you ready to get rich? Are you ready to receive abundance? You see, abundance isn't just about money, right? Abundance can be health, relationships, travel. It can be all of the things in life that we're meant to have and enjoy. So we're going to start with a couple key tips, and then I want to bring Sydney on to talk to you about what she's done over the last year or two to absolutely transform her life, which I can't wait for you guys to hear because truly, I just met her daughter. Beautiful. She's not only doing it for herself, but she's now setting an example for the girls in her household. Yes, exactly. Okay. So number one, if you want to unlock that wealthy woman archetype, we have to ask ourselves, what do we truly believe about who we are and what we're capable of? Really, truly, what is that image that you're holding of yourself? If you guys have been around the community at all, I say that if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand, right? So if you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. So what is the image that you're holding of yourself in your mind? Is it that you are wealthy beyond measure, that you can afford whatever you choose, that you've left a legacy for generations? Because I'm going to interrupt the pattern right here and just say, if you have a tendency to worry about money or worry about your kids or worry about anything in life, worry is a prayer for what you don't want, right? Worry is a prayer for what you don't want. So are you holding an image of a wealthy woman in your mind that has more than enough, that is dressed in the finest clothes, that has business bringing her money every single day? Are you thinking about yourself in a way that brings you joy, happiness, peace? Or are you worrying about those same things in a way that's causing you to shrink back, to pull back, to force away the abundance? If you think about it, when we are setting ourselves up for success, when we're in the flow, so to speak, let's put it that way. When we're in the flow, what happens is we're like, okay, so I'm feeling good. When you feel good, you do good. But when you worry, what you actually do is attract the things that you do not want at a much more rapid pace. And so we're going to dive into how to unlock that wealthy woman archetype, how to attract the things that you want. And step one is image, right? What image are we holding? Step two is, what are we sending our energy to? Where are we giving our attention? What are we loving at the moment? Because if we love our business, if we love our life, if we love the things around us, those things give us back energy and abundance floods towards us. We open by saying money is energy. So if you want more money, you have to give more energy. Energy is what? If you give gratitude and energy, you're going to get gratefulness back. You're going to get abundance back. But if you give energy that is worry, you're going to get lack back. So we want to cancel the habit of worry. We want to cancel the habit of lack, because lack is a habit. Trust me. We talk about negotiating with hot dogs, right? Being the person that's like, well, I don't need I love Shanda told this story. She made a post. If you guys didn't see it, go to drop your handle in the chat, Shanda. It's shanda.life, I think right now. Shanda.life, right? So she made a post that said there was a mom going to buy clothes for her kids, and she had a like $30 shirt in her hand, and she put it back on the shelf because she wasn't sure. She's like, should I spend the money on me when I'm here to shop for my kids? But the reality is, if we're not willing to love on ourselves at a $23 level, how are we ever going to get to that $1 million level? So you have to ask yourself, where are you at in your journey? Are you actually believing for a bigger life? Are you holding a vision of wealth in your mind so you can hold it in your hand? Are you envisioning your goals? Are you keeping yourself focused? And the like big overarching question is, what are you tuning into? Oh God, I love it. Okay, if you guys have been around She's Creating an Empire for a hot minute, and you actually are at the place where you're starting to pick up on the vibe, you're starting to get it, I want you to drop a 1 in the chat. If you were like, okay, I'm starting to understand that what I think about comes about. I'm starting to get that if I want more money, I have to give more energy and time to the thing that's going to bring me money. I have to do it in a spirit of excellence, in an abundant flow. When I do that, when I stop focusing on what I'm worried about and I start focusing on what I love, when I stop, hating my job and start being grateful for what the tools that I have in front of me, life starts to flow towards us. And I want for you guys to hear tonight from Sydney, who has literally changed her life in the last couple of years. So I'm going to bring Sydney on quickly. You guys, I'm sitting in my office. I forgot to turn on the air conditioning. It's extremely hot, so just bear with me. But Sydney is in Canada right now. And Sydney, if you don't mind, guys, listen, I met Sydney Crowe. We were on a Zoom probably for the first time. I think it was Zoom actually we met. But anyways, the reality was that I met this beautiful, amazing, shiny woman who wanted more for her family, but she was just stuck, like all around stuck. And she's not told her story a whole lot publicly, but I asked for her to come on tonight and just share with you guys where she was, what's happened for her, and how she's been able to transform that image of herself and the vibe that she's moved into, which is amazingly beautiful, so that you guys can pick up some of those tips and go apply them in your own life. So Sydney, if you don't mind just sharing with everybody kind of where you started, right? Like, where were you, honestly? Like, no holds barred. We don't have to be pretty and shiny here, right? And I know you're like, I don't know if I'm going to cry. Don't worry if you cry. Tears are acceptable. I really want for them to know, because here's the thing. I've coached literally thousands of women across the globe in all different countries. And I know that your story feels super unique to you, but the reality is women are suffering with the exact same stuff across the globe, and you have a very special way to reach them. So if you don't mind sharing with everybody where you were when you started, and why did you even engage with the community in the first place?
For sure. Well, I have to say I'm so honored to be on this webinar with you, Melanie. Thank you for inviting me. Public speaking has always been something that I've aspired to do, so I feel very blessed to be on the stage with you. Even though it's digital, I still call it a stage.
It is.
It's been almost 2 years. So I first got around your energy. It was the She's Creating an Empire Christmas party in 2020. And my really good friend, Tyler Collins, had been pushing me to look at a company that I just thought was for the boys, to be honest. I didn't think that females could trade. I was very naive to that whole financial sector. And I Am Academy was launching the e-commerce. And so he was like, just watch it. And to be completely honest, I sat on my couch watching TV while I had this Zoom on because I was like, sure, I'll just do it because you're my buddy and you asked me to, kind of thing. And I am forever grateful for that night because that energy, that event that you hosted forever changed the trajectory. So prior to that night, I was the good girl. I had checked all the boxes in my life. I had gone to university. I have 3 or 4 pieces of paper to my name today that I don't use. I had gotten married. I have 2 amazing kids who are now 9 and 7. And life was really just stuck. Like you mentioned, I was getting up and it was rinse and repeat and just a very different variation the day in and day out. And when COVID happened, I found myself very lost. I didn't know what I wanted out of life. I had the good family. I knew that I was okay there, but I had no drive or passion left inside of me for me. There was no spark left. I remember doing your first 5-day challenge in January. Shortly after that, She's Creating an Empire event. And all of a sudden these light bulbs, it was like fireworks were going off for me because I finally started to dream and hold that vision in my mind that you spoke about so that I could hold it in my hand. And my life has never been the same since. From that 5-day challenge, I, dove completely into a financial fitness academy. I signed up to be one of your certified coaches. I have now been able to quit my day job. I have 5 online income streams and, I am traveling the world. My family was just in Croatia this summer. So our dreams are literally becoming a reality in, 18 months. So I'm very, very grateful for everything that you have laid out before me.
Okay, you're making my hair stand on end, actually, because it makes me so happy. And here's why. Everyone has an opportunity, right? People see this information every day, right? But you somehow made some sort of decision, right? In the mix of seeing the thing, hoping it was real, hoping that there was something more, hoping you could be something more, hoping you could do something more. I don't know what the mix was for you, but I want to dive into that just for a second. Where do you feel like the I hope so went to I need to take action? What was that moment for you? Or do you remember?
Honestly, I feel like it was almost instant for me. I remember you and Shanda doing this presentation and the energy that you two had literally jumped through my computer screen and into my heart almost instantly. I literally had signed up for that company as soon as that call ended. I was in your 5-day challenge within, I think it was 6 weeks after that. And literally within 5 days of that, steamrolled into coaching and everything else. And so for me, I think it was something that I was seeking, but I didn't know what that was because I had really lost all direction. I just kind of, like I said, I had checked all the boxes and I was like, well, this is adulting, I've got the good husband and I've got the good kids. I don't want to rock the boat. And I just thought that this was how adulting was going to be. And you guys really painted such a beautiful picture that it's not about checking the boxes. It is literally about dreaming beyond all measure and setting that course and putting it into action. And so from that day on, I've literally I've come to you, I've done personal coaching. I was in your CEO business school, and every time you have something to offer, I can take that piece, go and put it into action and find results almost instantly. So of course I'm going to keep coming back for more because I'm seeing the results already.
I love it. So talk to me about the Sydney that was prior to and where you're at now, because I feel like there's a lot of people on here tonight, and there's a lot of people watching that are at that place where they feel like, that infamous, there's got to be more. There has to be more. You've kind of referred to it. And I feel like there's also the afraid to hope or dream. You know what I mean? You get so used to that you get afraid that the more isn't really a thing. So because it's been now 2 years, right? Basically.
It'll be 2 years.
2.5 years.
2 years in November.
Okay. So 2 years. It's been 2 years. And now you're coming to this place where, you've got multiple streams of income. Like you said, you've got like the ball is rolling. You are in the flow. So when I think about that process and the people that are on here and they're sitting there and they're like, okay, so how do I unlock that image of myself? How did you build for yourself an image that wasn't old Sydney to this Sydney? Bridge that gap for people.
Well, I won't lie, it's been a process for sure. And I feel like there's definitely almost like layers of an onion, because there seems to be one other aha moment kind of every other week that peels just another layer away. Prior to motherhood, I was a fairly anxious person. I definitely was very consumed by what other people thought and fitting into that good girl mold and, doing things the right way. I remember, bridging onto my 25th birthday and thinking, oh my gosh, like I have to get married and I have to have the kids. And there was a real, like almost quarter life crisis for me at that point, because I hadn't started checking the boxes and I didn't have much direction. And so, that anxiety and that piece, it's been a lot of layers to unfold, and motherhood compounded that for me a lot. And so journaling, coming to coaching, talking it out with our community, which has been, honestly, like I love the coaching and I love your courses, but the community for me, I think, was a big lifeline that I really needed, because like I said, like I just didn't have that in my real life. Like I didn't have people saying, go for the moon, you can do anything. Like in theory, growing up, it was like, you can do anything. But then it was like, I remember I didn't know what I wanted to do in college, and my parents being like, either pick something or move out of the house. And I was like, I'll pick the less scary thing. I'll go to school. Like I didn't know what to do. And so I've always been that person that wants to do the right thing. And so peeling those layers back and journaling and being in this community where I'm watching women do it before me has been a huge, huge blessing for me. And I think the real big piece that like connects it, like you just kind of have to get in the community and start with something, right? Whether it's the Financial Fitness Academy or however that looks, but like getting in with these, like the momentum group coaching and all of that, the community piece has been so critical for me.
I love that. And I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. So I'm just going to go a little deeper because I know like clearly everyone's like amazing. So good. Thank you so much for sharing. Also, I know that there's another layer for you. And I really want to talk about the fear of being seen, because I feel like a lot of women have been trained to not be seen. They've been trained that if you share your weakness, if you share your fears about motherhood, if you share your fears about being a wife or doing business or whatever, that you're going to be shamed, you're going to be convicted, right? And there are for sure people in the world that will do that. But I know that something really incredible has happened for you through this process. And so if you're okay with sharing, the actual fear that you had about being known, because the reality is, I'm just going to say before you even start, you are beautiful, kind, generous, whole. You're a light to our community. You've been such a leader within our community. You lead from the, middle up and down. You're such a inspiration, but I know that you had a big fear around being known and being seen. So just, if you don't mind sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that fear started at such a young age for me. I remember, going to Sunday dinner at my grandparents' house and never being allowed to like run around the house or make noise. So like that fear of being heard is ingrained into my bones. Like it is like not even surface level. I grew up with that fear. And so, as I mentioned earlier, I suffered from anxiety prior to being a mother, and post motherhood, or after I became a mother, that compounded astronomically. My daughter was born and we were in the hospital for 5 days. She had some health issues going on and, had stopped breathing a couple times. And I remember like peering over her bassinet when we were finally allowed to go home, just to watch that her chest was going up and down and that she was breathing. And, I never knew how to ask for help with all of that. It was like, thank gosh for my husband, because he was so caring and understood what I needed in those moments, even just to get a good night's sleep, because I wouldn't even fall asleep in fear that she would stop breathing. So, and then just the shame around that fear of being a mom. I didn't know who to ask for help. I didn't know where to go. I didn't have a ton of support in those early years. And so it was extremely hard to handle and to actually learn that I had a voice and that my voice mattered and that my kids wouldn't be taken away from me just because I was struggling. I was always going to be a great mom. I love being a mom, but in those early days, I was so afraid that if I spoke up about how scared I was or how awful I felt, or that maybe this wasn't for me because it shouldn't be this hard, like, oh, I can't even. And so to have guidance and to find my voice and to be able to speak that story out into the world is a blessing. It's a real blessing. And I know that if that story can help save just one person who's going through that right now, just like, you aren't alone. There are people that are going to support you and love you no matter what. And it is okay to want more for yourself and to just be who you want to be and be who you are. So.
I love it. And I think it's so important to understand that that experience is so visceral. Like, you can feel it, right? You can feel being back there, peeking over the bassinet and being like, please, dear God, just breathe, right? And I remember taking Brianna home, and same thing. I was just like, you're letting me take this baby home? Do you know who I am? What are you thinking? Like, does she have an instruction manual? Because I don't even know what you want me to do with this kid, you know? And same thing, like, she would stop like that, like, you know how newborns do, right? They stop breathing for a hot minute and you're like, are you dead? Like, you actually like have this moment of like, it's anxiety. Yeah. But here's the thing. I feel like that same shame, that same guilt, the same lack of feeling like we've accomplished something exists in our finances, in our marriage. It exists in all the aspects of our life. And so we're talking about becoming a wealthy woman, unlocking that archetype. And now we have to heal that shame. We have to forgive ourselves for not knowing what we couldn't have known in the first place. How are you supposed to know how to be a mom? You're taking home a brand new baby. How are you supposed to know how to get wealthy? No one's taught you that. They've taught you how to get a good job, which doesn't work. They've taught you how to work till you're dead, which also doesn't work. No one's ever taught you to invest or how to think about money or how to compound it, right? So it's like we have all this guilt and shame that we carry that's not really ours to carry. So how did you put that down? How did you finally say, enough is enough? I'm stepping into my power.
Yeah. I think it was baby steps, honestly. Like, I really feel like I am definitely not where I was, but I'm not where I want to be either. Like, I still have a long road ahead of me. And it's just from around gaining knowledge, learning how to speak my truth, learning how to journal and picture that vision in my mind so I can hold it in my hand. Being honest and open, having going through the Financial Fitness Academy, honestly, with my husband that was eye-opening, very eye-opening.
Tell them what happened.
Well, we were able to pay off all of our debt. We were able to learn how to budget for the first time. Guys, I'm 38 years old. I took the first Financial Fitness Academy when I was almost 37. I had never built a budget in my life. I have gone through all of my adult years, my entire life, and never built a budget. And so now I'm able to donate. I'm able to invest. We've built these 5 income streams that I've mentioned, and we live debt-free. So it was a beautiful thing. But very interesting to go through with my husband and see what his thought process was and what my thought process was around money, and, come together and build this plan together and have a united front. Like, I wouldn't have had that without this. So again, that was a baby step in our finances. I gained knowledge there. The more knowledge I have, the more confident I am with my voice. So that's basically been my process, is just continually learning, continually showing up, continually doing the homework, I'm always asking questions. I ask for support when I need it now. I'm never afraid to say that. I'm never afraid to say, I feel short on this. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I get this? What are the steps? So it's been baby steps, and it's built me a very long bridge.
I love it. And we always think we should be further along, right? We always think like, well, I thought I'd be there by now. I'm 47, turning 48, and I thought I'd be there too, and I'm not. But I'm further along the road. And now you're further along the road than the people that are getting started that have, all the same stuff going on that you did. Like, it always looks good from the outside, right, guys? Like your life looks good, your family looks good, the house looks good. And then when you get into it, if you don't have that feeling of satisfaction, if you don't have that feeling of like purpose and authenticity and support and community and partnership and all the things that you just mentioned, life can feel very lonely and it can feel very disconnected and actually quite pointless. And so my goal with this community, my goal with these programs is to help women be able to not only learn about money and of course become that wealthy woman, but actually unlock that mindset that says anything is possible. So I know that you've already, said, seriously, we've got chills. Like people are like, oh my God, chills with what you've already said. But I want to touch on one more thing, because I think that what you've done so beautifully is bring your husband along for the journey, right? And I feel like women struggle with that. Like they want to learn to invest. They want to learn to trade. They want to learn to, travel. They want to learn to build business online. They want to invest in coaching. They want to do the thing. And maybe their husband's sitting at home and saying, well, I don't know, the cost of that, or, the time cost, you got kids, you got a full life, right? And it's real. So how did you handle that? How did you get your husband on board?
Well, my husband was on board before I was with IM. And so, but I honestly thought that was going to be his hobby. I literally was like, sure, that's your hobby. You go do you. And I feel like there was almost like I was the ball and chain for the first little bit, because I didn't see it for the first 6 months that he was enrolled, and it definitely hindered his launch. And so when I came on, we really just caught the vision really, really quickly together. One thing that Sean and I have done very well throughout our lives, because we've been together for a very long time, since I was 21 years old. So we have grown up together, and we've gone through seasons where there has been a ton of support and maybe a bit more distance. And I feel like when we finally got into alignment with I Am Academy and with She's Creating an Empire, he just wanted to be the wind behind my back kind of thing. He saw the light inside of me that I think he saw when I was young and outgoing and fun in college, and really saw that passion ignite inside of me. And so he stands behind me and fans my flames on a daily basis. And I'm very, very grateful for the love and the relationship that we have, because I know I wouldn't be here today without him.
Oh, that's so beautiful. No, I'm going to cry. Stop. Okay. So if people are thinking, because the Financial Fitness Academy is coming up October 25th, right? We have the Momentum group. The doors are going to open there, where they learn about social media, building a business online, how to build a brand, like the important things around, really creating an online presence that makes them an expert. What would you say to the person that's like, yeah, Gabrielle's like, how do I start? Like, how does she start? First of all, Gabrielle, there's a link that we're going to put up right now that you can go to. You can get registered. Refer the person that, got you here, put their name in the link, like it'll ask you who referred you. But what would you say to the people that are a little bit nervous? They're like, I don't know if I should do it. Like, because you were the one that was resistant, right?
I was, yeah. And so for me, I would say the Financial Fitness Academy is a must for every single adult in the world. It has to happen. If you are struggling or just not really where you want to be financially, that is the course you have to take. It literally changed the trajectory of our household. So, and it's 6 weeks long, right? Like that's not a lifelong commitment. You can give up 6 weeks and go and dive into, like, do a deep dive in your finances and learn how to build the budgets, how to be debt free, like how to build multiple streams of income. It is critical. I think that should be offered in high schools. I think it's a mandatory course. So
I'm going to work on that, actually.
And then when it comes to momentum, absolutely. Like if you are wanting to be an entrepreneur, or if you're already an entrepreneur and you're struggling, the momentum group is a great way to keep yourself accountable. We have, 2 calls every single month, and it's a great way for us to, what's the word I'm looking for? Come together and discuss.
Mastermind.
Thank you. It's a great way for us to come and mastermind and get the information. And we really work together as a team. And then we have your guidance and Shanda's guidance. And we sometimes have specialists come in and talk about websites and content creation and all of that stuff. So it's a really, really critical piece for scaling your business, I would say.
I love that. And you guys understand that if you want to, if you're at the basics, like where do I start? Do the Financial Fitness Academy. The link is on the screen. Go ahead and get registered. If you are further along than that, like you don't have any debt, you already have multiple streams of income, and you're already building your brand, what I want you to do is book a strategy call. And you can do that by just drop strategy call in the comments. Okay. Somebody from the team will reach out to you. But the reality is that when I think about, when I built my business, when I launched my own business, I was really unsure of what I had to do to take that next step. And having a community and a coach was everything for me. And that's why I've done this, why I've stepped out and said, okay, like I built teams of 100,000 people globally. We have online income streams, we trade, we do all the things. And it's like, how do we get people to understand that you are the commander of your life? You are the author and the finisher of your own story. There's no one moving the pen for you, right? Blank paper, you are the one that moves the pen. So what do you want that story to look like? Who do you want to become? And unlocking that wealthy woman is exactly what Sydney's talked about, right? It's going from this place of, shame, guilt, frustration, lack of focus really is really all that happened. You didn't have clarity on where you wanted to go or what you wanted to do, and creating a story of, okay, I want this much income. I want my life to look like this. And taking ownership. And that's the final thing that I'm going to say. We only have what we choose to believe and do, right? I've had horrible abuse happen to me. I've had an awful, history or past, crazy stuff, ended up as a single mom living in a woman's shelter, right? Built myself up to not that anymore. And how did I do that? By taking 100% radical responsibility for where I am now. And the Financial Fitness Academy is the first step in putting that all together. So Sydney, I know, I'm so glad we got strategy calls booked, guys. I'm so excited. So what I want you to know is that Sydney is special in the fact that she took action, but she's just like every one of us on this call, where we have the choice. We can choose to allow our lives to run us around, our circumstances to dictate to us what our tomorrow is going to be. We can allow for our busy work, right? The kids, the husband, the stuff, the work, to dictate where we end up. Or this is the line in the sand where you say, not today. I'm going to choose to unlock that wealthy woman that's inside of me. I'm going to put my mind to bigger things. I'm going to find my purpose, my passion, my authority, and become an expert in my market. And you guys, I promise you, by taking baby steps, I love that you said that, the baby steps to moving forward, because sometimes we think we have to take this huge leap, and it's not that. In the beginning, it's just little tiny steps, right? Little tiny steps, learning to think different, to be different, to act different, to talk different, to walk different. And all of those little tiny incremental things lead us on a completely different trajectory, which is exactly what you said. So Sydney, thank you for being here. Thank you for being honest and sharing with everybody, because your story is so beautiful. You impact our community on a massive scale every single day. Guys, she's one of our senior coaches. She's always in the group helping. And what I love is that she's leading the way in her own life, which impacts those around her. And I'm going to say this, you guys, your kids are watching you just as her girls are watching her, and what they've watched her do is step into her greatness. So thank you, Sydney, for being here. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, guys. So you've heard it here. You can get registered for the Financial Fitness Academy. You can get a strategy call booked. I want you to drop all the love in the chat for Sydney, because seriously, She is beautiful, talented, and so are you. So with that, thank you for being a part of She's Creating an Empire. If you're not in our free group, you want to get there. We're streaming live. The replay will be up. If you need to go back and take notes, do it. If you need to book your strategy call, do it. If you need to get into the Financial Fitness Academy, do it. Here's the reality. I'm going to be working with 10 or 15 women between now and December to help you pay off your debt, create multiple streams of income, and really step out and become the woman that you are meant to be, and stop hiding underneath that shell of whatever it is that you've been doing. And so if that's you, you've got to put your hand up. You move your 50 bricks, I'll move mine. With that, we love you. We'll see you soon. We'll talk to you ASAP, and make sure to get your stuff booked. We'll talk soon. Bye for now.